Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dr. Tara Tuesdays. I am Dr. Tara, and as always, I am so excited to have you all join me tonight for what I always call when we meet, or when we get together, a special conversation and an important conversation. Tonight, we are going to be talking about, as parents, understanding our child's love language and figuring out how do we, what they are, and then two, what are some examples of ways that we can support our child in expressing their needs to us in a way that gets their needs met and also in a way that allows us to meet their love language. Hey, if you're just joining me, peace. I would love to give me a thumbs up. Let me know who's on here. But welcome to tonight's conversation, Understanding Your Child's Love Language. I am Dr. Tara. This is Dr. Tara Tuesdays. As always, your comments are welcome and they are needed. So I'm going to jump right into it. So the five love languages, many of us, and if you give me a thumbs up, if you've heard of the five love languages, the five love languages was made very, very popular by a wonderful, brilliant psychologist, Dr. Gary Chapman. And it started initially with adults, understanding the way that we best receive love. So the interesting thing to me about love language is that it kind of goes against what we consider to be the golden rule. So the golden rule is, you treat others the way that you want to be treated. But the five love languages teach us that you treat others the way that they want to be treated. And so I'll just give a little bit of an introduction into that because I know that I am guilty of loving people the way that I want to receive love. And you can give me a thumbs up if you've ever done that, right? So I like to go on long walks in the park. And so for me, my love language with my children is like, of course, you'll want to come to this park with me because I like to do it. And I'm showing them that I'm spending quality time with them. And I'm totally missing the mark. They're swatting mosquitoes and saying it's too hot or saying it's too cold or not hot enough. And so one of the things that for us as parents, we can do to really connect with our children is just take a moment to understand, one, what the five love languages are. And then two, how do we work to meet our children where they are? And how do we help them to express themselves in order to get their needs met? And so what it means is that when we look at five love language, it means that children and adults both give and receive love in different ways. And so one of the things that's interesting for us to understand is that, especially if you are a parent of multiple children, you may have children that have very different ways of expressing and receiving love. And so let's break them down. And when I'm talking about them to you all, I want you to think about your children and even yourself, because it's also important to know, and we'll get into this a little bit later in the conversation, about what do I do if me and my child have different love language, right? What if my love language is words of affirmation, but my child's love language is gifts? How do I still make this connection? And so let's get into it. So for us, the five love languages, and if you can put in the comments, the first one is affirming words, meaning, how am I showing up for my child verbally? So we often see that in words of affection, endearment, praise, and encouragement, right? So I have a child that needs that. Some of us have children that, I need to know that you believe in me. Even if you're angry with me, I need to know that you're okay. And so one of the ways that children sometimes do this, and a very clear example of this that I always like to think of is if we've ever seen a child get in trouble. And I don't know how many of you have children who have done this, but if so, give me a thumbs up or put a yeah in the comment section. But they get in trouble and then they kind of come out and I love you, mom, right? I just want to make sure that we're still good, right? I need that word of affirmation. So even though you're upset, even though I'm upset, I just want to make sure that we're good. So that's what it looks like a lot of times for children. Or when I wake up in the morning, I'm checking in with you just to make sure that you see me doing certain things or you see me doing certain tasks. Mom or dad, did you see me take the trash or did you see me wash the dishes? And so instead of us saying, well, yeah, I saw it, and that's the end of it, Nikki, I see you saying yes. Then, yes, I appreciate it. Or yes, you did a great job with this. Or yes, keep trying. And so it's not just praise to give praise. We want to make sure that affirmations are tied to something. But even more so than that, we want to make sure that the affirmations are authentic and real for us. So this isn't everyone gets a trophy and words of affirmation, but it really is something that I am authentically praising or encouraging my child to either continue doing or giving them support if I want them to stop a behavior. I believe that you can stop this behavior. I believe that you're smarter than this. I believe that, you are destined for greatness. So we're not going to do this behavior. You can also use it as a way for correction as well. It's not just to praise. The next love language is acts of service, meaning services for your child that they see as valuable. So one of the things that, I know that I am guilty of, so I'm going to give myself my own thumbs up, is my child wants to do something. I'll use my daughter. So she wants me to play games. She wants me to play dolls. And I'm not a good doll player. One, because she kind of takes over the doll. So I'm just kind of end up just standing there with the doll doing like this. But she likes to play dolls. And it makes her day when I play dolls with her. But sometimes I'll tell her, you know what? Well, let's not play dolls. Let's do something else. And because she values my presence, she'll agree to that. But that's not really an act of service for her. That is really her doing something for me. That's her meeting my love language, not me meeting hers. And so when we talk about acts of service, what is something that my child would enjoy doing with me? Right. So for some children, again, it's playing together. Some children, it's, hey, you want to watch me play this video game. You want to play this video game with me. Maybe you want to do such and such with me. And the thing I want to emphasize about this and to kind of put it in perspective is that oftentimes for our children, so much of their day is really determined by our schedule, right? So you get up based on whatever time I need you to be at school, whatever time I need to go to work. And so understanding that so much of their day revolves around accommodating us. And so acts of service for children really means that you are taking time out of that day. You're taking time out of that schedule and you're creating undivided time for me. And so understanding what that means and what that looks like for our child, and they get to dictate that to us. So it's not just, they've been wanting to spend time together, so I'm going to pick something that we want to do, but I'm going to bring them actively into the conversation. I'm going to take their feedback seriously, and I'm going to be consistent and show up and enjoy it. So one of the things that sometimes happens with acts of service, and give me a thumbs up if this has ever happened to you, even as an adult. So you ask someone to do something for you, they do it, and then they spend an unnecessary amount of time reminding you of what they did for you, right? So remember that time I did this, or remember that time I took you here, or remember that time I did this. We don't like that as adults, right? One of the things that we like is I like someone who gives cheerfully. And so children are the same way. So I don't necessarily, so it's not really an act of service if you are reminding me of everything that you've done or every time that you've done it. An act of service is I am giving of myself in order to make this connection. The third love language, and Shamia, thank you for writing it down, is quality time. Oh, and yes, Nikki, let me come back to your comment. So yes, allowing them to have a voice is so important. When we talk about love languages, one of the things that is so important, and we touched on this in understanding how we talk to our children session of Dr. Tara Tuesdays, is we have shared power in this relationship. And that doesn't mean that, when I say that, that doesn't mean that as a parent and child, we are on equal footing. No, we understand that as a parent, these are my rules, these are my expectations. But as it relates to us as people, as it relates to us being in a relationship, as it relates to us being on a basic human level, we have shared power, meaning that I'm giving you the opportunity to tell me what things would make you happy, what activities you would enjoy doing with me, because the biggest part about it is you want to do it with me. You want to spend time with me. So I think, Nikki, like you said, it's so important to allow them to have a voice. Thank you for writing the next comment. The next comment is quality time, or the next love language is quality time. And so what that means is that it's focused, undivided attention, and it means that we're just being together. So when we talk about quality time, one of the things that often interrupts quality time for parents and children is technology. And I'm going to say on the parents' part, technology or cell phones have literally changed the way that parents interact with their children. I know so many parents who the child is trying to get their attention. I'm gonna grab my cell phone and, that looks good. Yep, keep doing it. And the child is doing somersaults and backflips and everything else. And oh wow, that was great. And the child is like, you didn't even see me. Yes, I did. No, I did. And so much so, one of the daycare centers that I've worked with even created cell phone free zones at drop off and pickup time. And so when we talk about quality time, one of the things that younger children will do, and I'm just going to talk about younger children, but older children do it too. I've drawn you a picture. I want to tell you about my day. And the parent is somewhere else mentally. I'm thinking about something else. I'm literally talking on the phone. And those connection points are so important. One of the things that we've often talked about as it relates to quality time is the first 4 minutes of reunification. And so for parents and children, and really for anybody, parents, children, partner to partner, owner to pet, the first 4 minutes of reunification are critical for that attachment and that reconnection, meaning that I need to know two things. I need to know that you are happy to see me. And I need to know that you have missed me. Even if it's not true, even if I've gotten on your nerves all morning, anytime we reconnect, that is quality time, meaning that I need to know that in this moment, again, even if it's for 4 minutes, I need to know that I am the most important person to you right now in this moment. So it's focused, it's intentional, and it involves us just being together, just delighting in each other. The fourth one is gifts. So giving and receiving undeserved gifts. I love the undeserved part, right? Like, so it's not your birthday, not a holiday, it's not graduation. It's not some momentous occasion that something has occurred where I'm gifting you this because of, right? I'm not gifting you this because you made this. I'm not gifting you this because of this. These are just because gifts. You know what? I was thinking about you. I remember you said you like, yellow flowers. And so I was driving and I saw a yellow buttercup and I picked it up. Being thought of. Children, especially younger children, and I don't remember how many of you remember this, but really good at giving gifts, right? I made you this. I saw this and I thought about you. Here, this is for you. That's what it is. It's not in a way of spoiling our children, but in a way it's done with the intention of letting them know that I was thinking of you. And in my thoughts of you, this is what it led to. I remember you mentioned this. So that thoughtfulness that goes into gift giving. And then the last one is physical touch. So that's hugs, cuddles, kisses, pats on the back. Some children like wrestling, any type of touch that brings connection. And one of the things that I've often talked about, and I don't know how many people who are watching this are parents of children of color, specifically boys. But when it comes to Black boys in particular, they are least likely to receive touch out of all children, unless the touch is in the form of discipline. And so one of the things that we often see from the education side is, you see more aggressive behaviors, when in reality, this is how I've learned to receive and give touch, right? In some type of aggressive manner. And so when we talk about the importance of touch, I don't want to minimize that at all. Again, and I'm glad that I'm bringing it up in something as simple as a pat on the back, a high five. We have created, certain families we have secret handshakes when I see you. And so now I'm not only bringing in quality time where you have my undivided attention while we're doing this intricate handshake, but we're also being able to connect in a physical way, in a way that is affirming and most importantly, in a way that feels safe. This touch feels like a safe touch. And so these are the 5 love languages. So affirming words, acts of service, quality time, gifts, and physical touch. And Shamia, thank you so much for putting them on the comment section. And so when we talk about figuring out what our children's love language is, the first thing I want to say is that, one, it starts with age. So for babies and toddlers, their love language is all 5. And if you have a baby and toddler, you know that you are going between all 5 all the time, right? I'm waking you up when you wake up in the morning. I'm giving those affirming words. I'm doing acts of service for you all the time, right? I'm crawling on the floor with you. I'm spending that quality time. I'm giving you this pink bunny. I'm hugging you all the time. Babies need all 5 because they have an overabundance of neurons when they're born. And when we talk about children who become a little bit older. So preschoolers don't necessarily have a primary love language. And again, they also need to be shown these love languages frequently and also directly. So I'm very clear and I'm very intentional. I am giving you a hug. I am giving you this amount of attention. And children at this age, and Shamia, you're saying facts, are pretty demanding that, yes, you're going to spend time with me. No, mommy, no, daddy, look at this. No, give me a hug. I'm jumping all on you. By the age of 5 to 8, the interesting thing about children is that they are programmed to connect. So a child's brain is programmed to connect with their caretaker, meaning that by the time they are 11 months, 12 months, I know which love language of mine or which love language you struggle with. And so that's a beautiful thing about our children. Just like we are the experts of them, they are also the experts of us. So, and I don't know how many of you can remember, but, children know, okay, mom's in a bad mood, let me go over here. Dad is in a bad mood, let me go over here. And so one of the things that children will start to do by the time they're 5 to 8, it takes a little bit more intensive or intentional work to kind of figure out what their love language is. And so one of the questions that you can ask your child, if you have a child in this age range, is around the concept of love. How do you know that somebody loves you? How do you know that parents love their children? And see what they say. See how they define love in the verb of the verb definition of the word. How do I define love as an action? Is it when they hug me, when mommy picks me up from school, when daddy comes for donuts with dads? How am I defining love? And that's letting me know, oh, okay, quality time is important for them. Or when mommy tells me such and such, I know love looks like this. And so for those children, again, because I don't necessarily have the cognitive processes, and I'm understanding that love looks like these things when mom or dad does these things. For children 9 to 12, and Shamia is going to put the link in the comments, one of the things that they have that's available to people is something called the Love Language Mystery Game, where we are figuring out together this multiple choice quiz to discover what makes my child feel most loved, right? Meaning I'm going to ask some questions. What do you prefer? You're sad. What can mommy do or what can dad do to help you make you feel better? Is it giving you a hug? Is it, we're going to go for a walk? Or is it, me talking to you and telling you that you're going to be okay and that you're going to make it through this? What is it that's going to work best for you? And then when we have the lovely teenagers, I remember someone told me that they call them three-nagers, and I also agree. The teenage brain and the toddler brain are most similar. And I am a mother of a teenager right now, and I am, experiencing that in a beautiful learning way for me. But when we talk about teenagers, they can take their own assessment. And the interesting thing about this is that if you have a teenager, they do the love language quiz, discover your love language quiz, but you also do it too. And one of the things that is so eye-opening around this is that, again, it allows me to see, okay, well, I'm thinking my child will respond a certain way, but they're actually responding a different way. And so for us, when we talk about, how am I meeting my child's love language, it really causes us to pause and reflect and see, am I meeting my child's love language in a way that is pleasing to them and satisfying and nurturing for them? Because one of the best gifts we can give our children is knowledge of what makes me feel good and not being ashamed of that. How many of us, just even as an adult, let's do some reflection, but even as adults, we know that, okay, the way that this person expresses their love for me, it doesn't really do anything for me. I appreciate the gesture, but that doesn't make me feel connection, right? There's a difference between, okay, I'm doing something for you, but something that yields and brings connection, which is the foundation of relationships. I feel connected to this person. I feel like this person gets me. I feel like this person understands me. When I express this, or when I'm in this mood, or when I'm saying these things, they know how to kind of counter that, or they know how to either support that in a way that reminds me that this is a connection. Even if the response, them meeting me in my love language, is a correction, right? I can do acts of service as a correction. And so being able to do that in a way that still supports me. So when we talk about examples of these 5 different love languages. I want to give some to us and kind of see where we are with it. So the first 4 affirming words, compliments that praise for specific things, right? So your hair looks really nice, or you really did a good job, again, cleaning up. One of the things that we're going to start on Saturday, February 1st, is our Stick with Love challenge. We have done, this is our 3rd year, but putting sticky notes around the house, right? So that Stick with Love challenge really focuses on affirming words. Putting sticky notes in their lunchbox. I remember doing the Stick with Love challenge last year, and I said that my son is a teenager, and he was too cool for it. So one day I forgot, and he was like, "Where's my sticky note?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I didn't think you even cared about it." But yes, I'm used to receiving it, and it still makes me feel good. Even text messages. If I have a child who's texting, I'm just thinking about you. And so I want you to know that there's a connection, even if we're far away, even if I'm at work, even if you're home by yourself. I'm sending notes, I'm sending emails, I'm sending text messages. When we talk about quality time, and this is especially true for parents of multiples, but then also parents of only children. So then I'm just basically saying for parents of everybody, talking together one-on-one. I am making a deliberate effort to connect with you. I'm making a deliberate effort to talk to you. When we talk about quality time, so many of us as parents, and again, I'm going to give myself my own thumbs up, connect with our children over achievement, right? Or perceived lack thereof. So I'm connecting with you over your grades. I'm connecting with you over this baseball game. I'm connecting with you over this basketball game. I'm not connecting with you as a person. And so one of the things that we often get from children, especially where academic success is a standard or expectation, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But where the issue becomes when that becomes the only foundation of conversation. So I'm only talking to my child about their grades. I'm only connecting with my child about their performance in this athletic skill set or this athletic field. I'm not connecting with them and finding out who they are as a person, what their likes are, what their dislikes are. And a lot of times it's very unintentional, me doing this. I'm thinking I'm talking to my child every day, right? We talk every day for 10 minutes. But if I am kind of dictating the conversation and I'm not allowing me to even learn, okay, well, who is my child outside of this identity? Who is my child outside of the role of a student? Who is my child outside of the role of an athlete or whatever other roles we've given to our child or they've assumed? Who are they outside of that so that they can create an identity and a role and an understanding of themselves outside of this? So quality time, literally those conversations one-on-one that allow me to get to know you as a person. Undivided attention. So bedtime, morning time, depending on whether you or your child are a morning or evening person, that morning time, undivided attention. Let's connect for a few minutes over tea. Let's connect for a few minutes over breakfast. Mealtime is so important. This is something that I emphasize working with in my work with a lot of families who have been impacted by trauma. Mealtime is so healing to families because it allows us, one, to come together over food, but then allows us to all be similarly seated, right? So we're all pretty much at eye level. And it allows us to, usually how tables are designed, to actually engage with each other, actually have eye contact. Going on parent-child dates, right? Daddy-daughter dates, mommy-son dates, family dates, a walk shopping, a trip to the mall. And then the last, even doing chores together. I remember, so there's, memes, but I grew up with this too. You hear that music Saturday morning, you already know what time it is, right? You already know what time it is, but taking a break, even while doing the chores, you know what, we're gonna have a 5-minute concert. We're not gonna just be focused on the chores, but I'm doing things to connect with them. I'm coming in your room singing Frankie Beverly and Maze, as you vacuum or as you clean up your room, so we're finding ways to still connect and still delight in each other. When we get to gifts, and if you want to put something in here, you can. But when we get to gifts, leave an unexpected treat, right? So, what I was thinking about you, here's a treat. Or, I was eating this sandwich and I saved half for you. Like literally small tokens of thoughtfulness that let me know that you were thinking about me. Giving our children small gifts at challenging times. So this is not in a way to necessarily reward challenging behavior. But if I know my child is struggling with something, I want to give you something that lets you know that I believe in you, or that lets you know that, hey, I'm thinking of you and I'm just giving you an extra nudge. Mailing them something. So if I ever have any instance where my child is not with me, mailing a postcard counts as a gift, right? Writing my child a letter. I remember in 8th grade, we got letters from our parents. And I don't know if there was one dry eye, and part of it is because we were teenagers, but the act of, wow, like I'm getting a piece of mail, right? Made such a big deal. And that works for children of all ages. Children, even as young as preschool, I want to see my name. Children in high school, I'm just thinking about you. I'm writing you a love letter, letting you know how much you mean to me, giving you a card. I'm in Rite Aid. I'm looking down the card aisle. And you know what? It's not your birthday. It's not a holiday, but I'm thinking about you. And then the act of expressing your love verbally or in writing. Writing is with the gift. So I'm not just giving you a pair of tennis shoes, right? Hey, here you go, take it. But I want to write why this is sentimental. I want to write why I'm doing this for you. And again, because it really adds to the thoughtfulness of the gift. One of the things that can often happen, and this often happens for many of us as parents, I feel bad that I'm not spending enough time with my child. And so one of the ways that we can sometimes overcompensate is through gifts. And so we want to be mindful that the gift giving isn't done in a way to make me feel better about myself, right? Because again, that's serving my needs, but it really is done in a way to make a connection with my child, to let them know that I am thinking about them. And then when we get to acts of service, so again, spending time together, I'm coming into your world, thinking of, again, doing that reflection, thinking about how much of the day our children spend in our worlds, but actually taking an active stance to come into their world. So supporting them in a hobby or skill, take their turn washing the dishes or doing a chore, or rounding up certain things and telling them that you love them. I'm doing an act of service. I know Tuesday is your night to do the dishes. I'm going to do it for you. That's an act of service to you. I know you've had this broken doll for the past 2 months that I keep saying I'm going to fix. I fixed it. I'm doing this act of service for you. I'm making them their favorite meal, right? What is it that you like? What is it that my child loves? They love every time I make it. And you know what? I have some extra time today, and I'm going to do that for them. And I'm going to let them know I made this because I know you love it when I do this for you. This is an act of service, and I'm doing it cheerfully, and I'm doing it as a way to get a connection. And then we talk about physical touch. So frequent hugs, kisses, pats on the back, cuddling together, tickling. Again, even if we talk about play wrestling, I'm going to take it. And so we're going to do it in a way that is physical touch. Physical touch that brings smiles, that brings laughter, and most of all, brings safety. And so when you talk about all of these, understanding our child's love language, some of it is I'm taking kind of my expert hat off of my child, right? My view of my child. Okay, me as the expert. I'm not putting it to the side, but I'm taking it off for a minute to allow my child to become the expert of themselves. And again, as parents, that's one of the gifts, if we can be proactive about how we set our children up for success, right? How blessed are our children to know that I am the expert of myself at 5, at 10, at 15, versus finding it out. You know what? I can be the expert of myself. I can say what I want. I can be clear in what I want 30 and 35. So I'm giving them this opportunity to say what things make them feel good, what things make them feel appreciated, what things make them feel loved. And so as we talk about this, one of the things that I want to encourage us to do as parents is understand that, one, if you haven't taken it for yourself, it's good to know where you stand. It's good to know for us as parents, what is my love language? And we usually have more than one. We usually have a stronger one, a dominant one, and then we have other ones that kind of fall in ranking. So it's totally fine to have more than one. But let's say my love language is an act of service, but my child's love language is physical touch. And maybe I'm not a touchy-feely parent, right? I want to give that to you. The goal then becomes, what is the minimum amount that I can do that still makes my child feel seen, feel valued, and feel heard, right? So say hugs make me uncomfortable. I'm, yay, right? I'm giving you that church hug and you're my child. Well, can I give them a high five? Right? Can we create our own handshake? can I make sure that I pat them on their back or I pat them on their shoulder when I'm thinking of them or when I know that they need it, or rubbing their head? What is the minimum amount that I can do that still makes my child feel safe, feel valued? Feel seen, feel valued, and feel heard. And then when we talk about, so understanding there's ways that we can bring this into it too. So Shamika, you said allowing your child to be the expert of themselves was a wow moment for me thank you. So yes, that means I really believe it. So yes, our children have to become the experts of themselves at a young age. We have to teach them that they have ownership of the things that make them feel good, and also ownership and the permission to say that things don't make me feel good, right? Because again, I want to give you that voice and that platform so that as you age, it becomes automatic, right? I don't have to learn this as an adult, which things make me feel good because I've gone 20 or 30 years just kind of going with the program or appeasing other people. We really do ourselves and our children a service when I give you the platform to be, again, the expert of yourself. I don't know how else to say it. So thank you for that. Thank you. So understanding this too. And then the last piece that I want to add before we wrap up tonight is knowing that I don't have to be a master of all 5 of these love languages, but how far just small details and tries go. So one of the things that I love most about being a parent or my children is that they give me grace and they give me space to get better, right? They don't expect me to be perfect. And I try to make mistakes so that they can see me apologize so that I don't have that pressure. I can't have that pressure. And why I'm saying this is because I don't have, if I have a child where affirmations are their love language, and some of us grew up in homes, and I just want to be honest, where we never heard someone tell us that they loved us, but it was assumed because I put a roof over your head, I give you food to eat, I give you clothes to wear. Of course I love you, right? You should know that. And so words of affirmation are really acts of service, right? So I tell you that I love you by what I do for you. But for my child, I may need to hear this. And so when we give a little bit, right? So what out of these 5 love language, or where rather, out of these 5 love languages is the easiest place for me to start with? And Nikki, you're absolutely right. By me doing this for my child, it boosts their confidence. And the biggest thing with that is that it boosts their self-worth. And when we talk about self-worth, that means, I want to break it down very basically. It means that I have the ability to know that I am lovable and worthy of love just for being who I am. And so self-worth is sometimes easier for parents to do depending on the ages of their child. So for some parents, self-worth is really easy for me to give my baby, right? So the baby doesn't have to do anything. They don't have to have rolled over. I'm just loving on that baby. Some of us is when my child is a little bit older, I'm just, waking up. Yeah, that's my son, that's my daughter. I love them so much. I'm connecting with them. Some of us, honestly, as our children get older, that self-worth starts to diminish because now instead of me praising you or acknowledging you and connecting with you just for being who you are, that connection comes based on what you do, right? And so I'm really big on us as parents understanding the difference between connecting with our children based on who they are versus what they do, and the danger that happens when we connect with them only based on what they do. We raise martyrs, right? We raise people pleasers, right? Because again, children are hardwired to have that connection with us regardless. And so if I'm connecting with you by me meeting your expectations based on what I do, then guess what? You've just set the precedent for. You've set the foundation for me to connect with everybody else that I come into contact with based on what I do versus who I am. And so when we talk about authenticity, so many of us as an adult don't even know what we like, right? What are your 3 favorite things to do? I have seen so many adults flounder with that question. Well, I like, that don't have anything to do with your job title, that don't have anything to do with any other role. What is it that you like to do? People get stuck with that. And so just like you're talking, Nikki, your comment around that confidence, it gives me a sense of identity and worth that is rooted in me, not rooted in anything else. Because a lot of times what we do can get taken away from us, right? And that's a lesson we want to teach our children. If I'm rooted in myself, if I'm clear on who I am, and if I'm clear on what makes me feel good, then yes, I do have that sense of confidence and I do have that sense of self-worth. And I know that what it is that I need can be expected to be given and received by the people that I love. And so I think that's a great way to end tonight's segment. I hope that it was helpful to you all understanding the 5 love languages for your children. Shamia, thank you so much for putting the resources in there. I encourage you all, if you have children who are over the age of 8, between 9 to 12, there's one, the Love Language Mystery Game. If you have a teenager, actually doing the quiz with them and seeing how the answers differ and coming together and talking about it. If my child's number 1 love language is, again, affirmations, and I put it at service, we have something to talk about because there's a connection that can be had. And then also doing the love languages for ourselves. And even if you're with someone or not, knowing, okay, for me, if my love language is affirmation, I'm going to do the Stick with Love challenge for myself. I'm going to put affirmations up on my wall, or when I get up in the morning and I do a meditation, I'm thinking of all these things that I can be saying to myself to feed myself, or acts of service. What makes me feel good about myself? So thank you all so much. Shamia has also put the book in the comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Understanding Your Child's Love Language is a wonderful book, a very, very easy read. As always, thank you for tuning in. Next month, next Tuesday starts February. February is our self-love is the best love month, and we're actually going to be breaking down so many ways to self-love. I'm going to have a guest, Victoria's Hall, next Tuesday, who's going to be actually talking about men in therapy as a form of self-love. And so I hope that you all will tune in and join me next week, Tuesday, February the 4th. Thank you so much. As always, let's heal together. Peace.